What to do after you turn in your book? Scary amusement parks, anyone? Now you have turned in your book and you feel restless and somehow unproductive if you're not actively writing. You have had your head in that book or that play or that short story so long you've forgotten what to do in real life. I have suggestions and a story about what happened to me when I ventured out of the house after I turned my book into my editor. Hello and welcome back to my channel as I share the writing journey with you. I'm Byerrum, a mystery author with opinions, gossip, and tips. If you want more information, I will put links in the description. And just a note, I know how irritating it is for people to beg you to subscribe to their channels. I will refrain from that, but if you feel so moved, you know what to do, and I will be eternally grateful. Now, back to the subject at hand. After you turn in your book to your editor, you can collapse, take a nap, read a book, have a manicure and a pedicure, or a haircut. Yes, I know, somebody needs a haircut. You could call a friend. Remember what friends are? Catch up on your Zoom calls, clean out your closets, read the news, become enraged, and join a march. For example, the next No King's March will be October 18th. You can take this time to start your own edits before you forget what you wanted to do with them. Or you can conduct research on your next book. You're tired. You might want to seek inspiration and go someplace you have never been before or haven't been for a while. Go someplace you find inspiring, a place that recalls other days, other times, as we did this weekend. We went to Lakeside Amusement Park, which began life around 1911, just outside of Denver. It was rehabbed with Art Deco touches in 1940 and is a grand old lady that you want to see fully restored to its glory days with a swimming pool and a ballroom. Alas, no more. This past Sunday was its last day for the season. I have always found amusement parks to be inspiring, especially the older ones. They often have a haunted feeling, particularly if they are in a state of disrepair or aging. The first time I saw Glen Echo Park in Maryland, it had that spectral feeling for me. The neon crystal pool sign, where there was no pool, and the old shooting gallery with a mural so faded suggested so many past ghosts. But the last time I was there, it was polished up, the carousel a fine beauty, and the Spanish ballroom its wonderful, glorious self. At other parks, old equipment and ancient rides give rise to telling tales. I have a photo of one such ride that inspired me. I think we'll try and post it here. I have used amusement parks in 3 narratives: a short story, a novel, and a play. The End of Summer is my short ghost story written between books. And because it is the summer, the end of summer now, I will read the opening for you. It's where inspiration meets the pen. The skeleton of a derelict Ferris wheel was visible just above the tree line, a reminder of days gone by before nature had reclaimed the majority of the Fun Valley amusement park. Gazing at it, you could almost hear the laughter of children, the band organ of a merry-go-round, or the delighted screams at the top of a roller coaster. Once called the Starcatcher and illuminated with a neon galaxy of lights, the Ferris wheel hadn't moved in more than 50 years. It was rusted into place. Now maples, cottonwoods, and ivy grew through and around the machinery as the wetlands encroached ever closer. There were times during the day when a trick of the light and wind-shaken vines seemed to form shadows of bygone thrill-seekers, giving rise to rumors that the swamp was haunted. And now, when I turned in edits for These Crooked Things, my next book, I thought, why not head to Lakeside and see if anything might inspire me again? There is a miniature train, it's totally tame, that runs for a mile around the small lake. On one side, there's a chain link fence. On the other, vegetation and Lake Rhoda. It's pretty corny, but when you head back at dusk, the neon on all the rides as they light create a magical glow. I should mention that Lakeside is still affordable and the train takes only 5 tickets, which are very inexpensive. And yesterday was pleasant, the weather a perfect September day with the balmiest of breezes. The diesel engine puffed along and we made it around more than halfway, past a Mexican restaurant with mariachi music in the air, and then bump, 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 the train derailed. Everybody had to get off and hike back over the railroad ties and the gravel and the occasional raccoon skull with a gleaming white smile, all the way back to the park. It was a bumpy walk. Then we detoured through the park's junkyard, past broken parts and giant teacups from a ride that will never twirl again. I have to say that most of the 15 people on the train were unhappy at this turn of events. They just wanted to get back to the park and retrieve their 5 tickets per ride. But as a mystery writer and a former reporter, I was simply fascinated. A wizened old character popped up and told us it was his job to jack the train up. Just one guy with a big iron rod to lever it up over the rails. Bob and I laughed and laughed because who knew this would happen? Who could guess a miniature train derailment would happen? I don't know whether the experience will ever inspire a story, but ideas can hang around for months and grow for years before bearing fruit. So, take this time, gather ideas, and rest well. I recommend that after you turn in that manuscript, you do something you love, because before you know it, those edits will wind up back on your desk and take all your time. That's all I have for now, although I want you to know I am watching the potential AI settlement case. It doesn't look good for authors, but we will see what happens in the coming weeks. Good luck, and I'll see you next time. Bye.